Okay, guys. Now I'll be going through the second last component of this chapter. We'll move on to the fractional equation. The concept of this is the same. The equation are given in a form of fraction, and then most of the times they won't tell you which method to use, especially later on. So it's up to your own discretion. It's up to your own choice to see which method you want to use. But for myself, I would prefer to use either completing the square or formula method. Yeah, the graphical method is just too time consuming. Okay, so let's get on with it. So for this kind of fractional questions, like the way to go about it is just to make it a single line. So 5x minus 1, x plus 2. Then you expand this. So you will get 5x squared plus 9x minus 4 equals to 0. Okay? So if you see the coefficient of x squared is not 1, so if I want to do completing the square method, uh, it won't it won't be as easy as the previous ones that we have done before. So like for example, it will be root 5x plus 9 over 2 square. So it doesn't look as good. So I would rather do formula method for this context. Okay. So if you do formula method, the first step is to check b square minus 4ac. So in this case is 161, which is more than 0. So now you can just sub into the formula. So x equals to minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, I'm not going to write the formula because there's space constraint. So just minus 9 plus or minus root of 161 over 2 times 5. So minus 9 plus or minus root 161 over 10. Okay, after that, you can just calculate the final answer. Okay, and for this kind of question, a 100% foolproof method is once you're done, use calculator to check. So use calculator to check answer. So again, it is the mode 5, 2, 2. And then you just type the coefficient of your equation. Okay. I want you to try out this question yourself. Okay, but I will just quickly do it. So this should be a final answer. You should get either get x equals to minus 1 or x equals to minus 6. Okay. You can try using both completing the square and formula method. Okay. Do both and then see whether you get the answer for both of it. Okay. Okay, then let's move on. You can also have a more complex fraction like this. So in this case, it's the same concept, make it into a single line. So you don't want it to be a fraction, that's your objective. So yeah. And so how you're gonna do is 3x minus 5 plus x minus 1 times x plus 2 equals to 2 times x plus 2 times x minus 5. Then you expand this. and solve the equation. Okay? So once you expand it, you'll get a quadratic equation in a form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. So after this, you can use standard either formula method or completing the square. Whichever method is easier, you can use that. My advice is if a is equals to 1, use completing the square. Otherwise, you can use formula. Okay? But again, this is up to you. Whichever method that you're comfortable with, just stick to it. Okay? There's no hard or there's no hard rule that you need to follow a specific one unless the question specifies. Okay? Okay, now let's look at some application questions. So these are the types of questions that you will see for your exams in future. So yeah. So you're given a right angle triangle and they say that if the perimeter is 17 cm, write down the expression for x in terms of AB. So your first part, perimeter. Okay, so let's take a look at this question. They said that the distance between Singapore and KL is 315 km and the average speed of an aeroplane is 350 km per hour more than the speed of car. So given that the speed of car is actually x km per hour, write down the expression in terms of x for the number of hours taken by the family if they choose to travel by the aeroplane. So this value is just your distance over speed. So your distance is 315 and then your speed is x plus 3350. Okay? So this is the time taken for the family to reach KL if they took the plane. And they said that if you took the plane, they would arrive 3 hours and 15 minutes earlier. Okay? So uh the time taken for car is 315 over x hours, correct? So if they took the plane, so this is longer, right? Longer time. So the time taken for plane is actually 3 hours and 15 minutes faster. So it will be 315 over x plus 350 and you minus off the time that it is faster by. So when you minus off, make sure that you convert 3 hours and 15 minutes to hours. So in that case, it will be uh 3.25 hours. Okay, so you get this equation and then make it 315 over x plus 350 minus 315 over x equals to 3.25. So once you get this equation, if you make it into a single file like what you have done earlier, eventually it will reduce to this equation. Okay, so that's how you do part 2. And then for your part 3, solve the equation. Simple, is the same thing. Do completing the square or formula method. I'm not going to go through it. And then your part 4, find the time taken for the family to travel by aeroplane. So this one is just substitution. Okay. Uh, Also during exam, right? Just in case, like let's say if you can't get the answer for part 2, don't stop here. Okay, because you still have marks for part 3 and part 4. Okay. Because normally the part two would be the challenging one for this type of questions when you have to show this equation. So if you're unable to show, just carry on with the rest of the question. You should be able to get part three and part four correct. Okay? Okay, next, I want you all to take a look, pause the video here and try this question. And then I would go through this question during our lesson. Okay? It's a very similar question uh to the one that we just did. And yeah, so after this, we have one more part to this chapter. So that part would be sketching. So once we're done with that, we are done with this chapter. All right, thank you.